Dear viewers, before I begin this story, I need you to promise me one thing. No matter how strange it sounds, no matter how impossible it seems, keep listening. Because what I'm about to tell you is the only night in my life where I truly believed the world was ending, and I was the only one left to witness it. If you're here to hear an ordinary tale, you should leave now. But if you want to know what happened the night my entire town vanished, then sit close and listen to an old woman who survived something she never should have survived. And before we step into the darkness together, my dear, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Grandma's Story Studio, share it with your family, and please leave your thoughts in the comments. Your feedback is what keeps this old storyteller going. Now, let me take you back to Maple Hollow, to the night silence itself came alive. I've lived a long life, child, long enough to know that some memories stay with you, even when your bones grow old and your hair turns silver. But there is one night, one terrible, impossible night that settles on my chest like a shadow whenever I close my eyes. I've never told many people about it. Most wouldn't believe me anyway. But you listen with your heart. So tonight, I'll tell you what happened. I was 12 years old, living in a small American town, Maple Hollow. Back then, it wasn't much more than a scattering of wooden houses, a church with a bell that rang every morning, and a main street where neighbors talked longer than they worked. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, the kind of place that didn't simply vanish. But one morning, that's exactly what it did. I woke up before sunrise, feeling unusually cold. Not the kind of cold that sits on your skin, but the kind that crawls right into your bones. My little bed rattled as if someone had shaken it. I sat up, rubbing my eyes, expecting to hear Mama in the kitchen or Papa outside chopping wood. Instead, I heard nothing. No clattering pans, no barking dogs, no morning chatter from Mr. and Mrs. Carter across the street. Just silence, a heavy kind of silence that didn't feel empty. It felt aware. At first, I thought maybe I had slept late. Maybe the whole town was a church. Maybe something was happening and I didn't know. So I slipped on my boots and opened the door. What I saw still chills me even now. Every door on the street was open, every single one. Curtains fluttered in the breeze. A rocking chair on the porch across the road moved back and forth, slowly, steadily, as if someone had just stood up from it. A newspaper lay in the middle of the road, its pages stiff from dew. But not a single person was in sight. I stepped out, calling for Mama, for Papa, for anyone. My voice echoed in ways it never had before, bouncing between houses like the town itself was swallowing it whole. The sun was rising now, spilling gold across the rooftops, but somehow the light felt wrong, too soft, too pale, like a memory of sunlight instead of the real thing. Then I noticed something strange. Every clock in the windows, every kitchen clock, every cuckoo clock, even the tower clock above the church was frozen. Same time, same minute, same exact second. Whatever happened, happened all at once, and I was the only one left. I stood there, trembling, telling myself it had to be a prank. People don't just disappear. They don't leave doors open and meals half-cooked on tables. But the stillness of Maple Hollow felt wrong, as if time itself had stopped, holding its breath. I walked down Main Street, calling out names as I went. Mrs. Carter, Mr. Thompson, anyone? My voice sounded small, swallowed by the air. The grocery store door hung wide open. A ladder stood beneath the window of the tailor's shop, thread still dangling from a half-sewn shirt. A school bus waited at the edge of the road, engine still warm. But not a soul. I felt eyes on me. Not human eyes, something else, something watching from somewhere I couldn't point to. Every hair on my neck stood up. That's when I heard it, a sound that didn't belong in an empty town. Footsteps, but not mine. Slow, heavy, rhythmless. I spun around. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. Then they started again, this time behind the bakery. I ran toward them, not thinking, just desperate to find someone alive. But when I rounded the corner, the alley was empty, except for a set of footprints on the ground. Not human footprints. They were too long, too thin, with a strange backward bend, as if whatever made them wasn't built to walk the way we do. They led toward the woods behind town, and then simply stopped, as if the creature vanished mid-step. I felt my breath catch. Something was terribly wrong. Then the payphone next to the general store rang, shrill and sharp, slicing through the silence. I froze. Phones don't ring in empty towns. My feet moved before my mind agreed. I picked up the receiver with a shaking hand. "Hello?" I whispered. At first there was static. Then I heard a voice, my own voice, crying, "Run! Please run!" I dropped the phone and stumbled back, hitting the wall behind me. It kept ringing, even though the receiver lay on the ground. And above me, the church bell rang too, one single low toll. Only no one was in the bell tower. The bell's echo trembled through the empty streets. I covered my ears, willing it to stop, and when it finally did, the silence that followed hurt more. I hurried home. I thought if I stayed inside, maybe Mama and Papa would return. Maybe everything would make sense. But when I reached my front yard, I stopped dead in my tracks. My shadow wasn't alone. There was another, stretching beside mine, taller, thinner, moving just a fraction slower than me. But no one stood there. I stepped back. The shadow stepped back. I raised my hand. It raised its hand, but not quite the same way. Its fingers were too long, too pointed. I shut my eyes, counted to 3, and opened them again. Still there. I ran inside and slammed the door. My heart beat against my ribs like it was trying to escape. I grabbed the oil lamp and held it up to the wall. My shadow, and beside it, that thing. I remember whispering, "What are you?" to the empty air. The shadow merely twisted, as if smiling at me through the floorboards. A wind blew through the house, even though the windows were shut. The lamp flickered. My mother's favorite porcelain bowl fell from the shelf and shattered at my feet. Yet the air felt colder, like something had entered instead of left. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run. But something inside me whispered, "No, it wants you to." That's when I noticed something else. Every picture frame in the house, every family photo had changed. Our faces were blurred, except mine. Mine was scratched out. I didn't know where to go. The whole house felt wrong, like something invisible was pacing from room to room. I backed away from the shattered bowl and crept into the living room, trying not to look at the distorted photos staring at me with blank faces. That's when I heard it. A faint crackle, a soft hum, the static hiss of something waking up. My father's old radio, dead for months, lit up on its own. The dial glowed blue. A station tuned itself, the needle sliding smoothly like an unseen hand was controlling it. I took a step back, shaking. The room felt colder. The air pressed down on my shoulders like a heavy blanket. Then the radio spoke. But it wasn't the news or music or static. It was a voice. My voice. Whispering. Crying. Don't let it find you. Don't let it touch you. My legs turned to water. I grabbed a blanket from the couch, clutching it to my chest as if cotton could protect me. The radio hissed again. Then the voice returned, older this time, trembling. Child, run to where it all began. I wanted to cover my ears, but I couldn't move. I stared as the radio dial spun wildly, stopping on a frequency that wasn't numbers, but letters. My name, spelled out across the dial. Then the lights in the house flickered. The bulb above me buzzed, glowing so bright I worried it would burst. The radio volume rose sharply, the voice shifting into a deep, distorted growl, not mine at all. You should not be here alone. I screamed and kicked the radio off the table. It crashed to the floor and went silent. For a few seconds, I heard nothing but my breathing. Then, slowly, softly, I heard a new sound. Footsteps on the porch. Heavy, slow, getting closer. Whatever vanished the town had returned. The footsteps creaked across the porch boards, each step deliberate, patient, like whoever, whatever stood outside already knew I was frozen with fear. The doorknob turned. Not fast, not aggressively, just a slow, thoughtful twist, like it was tasting the idea of coming in. My breath caught. I backed away from the door until my shoulders hit the wall. I held my mother's blanket tight, whispering, "Please, please go away," even though I knew it wouldn't listen. The doorknob rattled harder. Then it stopped. Silence. A long, terrible silence. I thought maybe it had left. Maybe I'd imagined the shadow, the footprints, the phone call, the radio. Maybe fear was tricking me. Then, knock. A single, soft knock. Not from a stranger, from someone who knew me, because I recognized the pattern. 3 knocks, pause, 2 knocks. It was the knocking pattern my father used whenever he came home late from the fields, the special code he made with me so I'd know it was really him. I whispered, "Papa?" Another 3 knocks answered. I walked to the door on shaking legs. My fingers touched the cold brass. My breath fogged the air. My heart begged me not to open it, but my childhood hope whispered, "What if it really is him?" "Papa, is that you?" I whispered. A voice on the other side answered. My father's voice. "Tala, open the door, sweetheart." My knees almost buckled. It sounded exactly like him. The warmth, the softness, everything. I reached for the lock. Then I froze. Because beneath his voice, very faint, I heard something else. A second voice, a deeper one, speaking behind him, repeating every word he said half a second later, as if it was learning him. I backed away slowly. The voice on the porch grew impatient. Tala, sweetheart, open the door. Then the doorknob began to turn again, this time with force. It wasn't asking anymore. I didn't think. I just ran, out the back door, across the yard, into the trees behind our house. My boots slipped in the mud, branches scratched my arms, but I didn't look back. I could still hear the front door splinter as something enormous forced its way inside. The woods swallowed me whole. The air felt thicker here, like the trees themselves were holding their breath. My own breath came out in white puffs, too cold for the middle of summer. I heard whispers, not human whispers, a layered, overlapping murmur, like hundreds of voices speaking at once, but without words, just sound, just hunger. The radio's message echoed in my head, run to where it all began. There was only one place that could mean. The old well, deep in the woods, older than the town, older than everything. A place my mother told me never to go. I reached the clearing, panting. The well sat in the center like a dark mouth, moss-covered stones, a wooden beam that looked chewed instead of aged, and carved into the side symbols I never understood, spiraling downward like a message from something ancient. The air vibrated around me, my skin prickled. A deep hum rose from inside the well, like something waking up. Then I heard footsteps behind me, slow, heavy, crunching leaves. But I didn't run this time because I knew. Whatever took my town didn't come from the town. It came from here. I turned around, and what stood between the trees was wearing my father's face, but not his body. A too tall shadow stretched behind it. Its arms hung too low, its head tilted in unnatural angles, bones cracking with each movement. Its smile was too wide, too thin. It said my name with my father's voice. Tala, come here. I stepped back toward the well. No, I whispered, you're not him. It moved closer, but something stopped it. A boundary, a circle around the well I hadn't noticed before, stones arranged in a pattern like a broken chain. The creature hissed, taking a step back. This was the place it couldn't enter. This was why the message said to come here. This was safety. For now. The hum from the well grew louder, vibrating through my ribs. I gripped the stone rim, looking down into the darkness. I expected to smell damp earth, but instead the air rising from the well felt warm, alive, like a breath. The creature circled the perimeter, pacing like a starving wolf denied a meal. Every time it reached the stone boundary, it recoiled violently, as if burned. I realized something then. This well wasn't meant to draw water. It was meant to hold something in, or keep something out. The creature screeched, a sound I still hear sometimes when the wind blows just right. It slammed its body against the invisible barrier, desperate, angry, but powerless. Then the humming from the well turned into a voice, a familiar voice, my mother's. Child, listen, you were spared because you are bound to this place. My throat tightened. Mama? She didn't answer in words, at least not the way humans speak. The voice came as feelings, as memories, as whispers carried by the breath of the earth. I saw images in my mind, a circle of women around the well, my mother among them, a newborn baby, me, words carved into the stones, light pouring from the well like sunrise. My mother's voice grew clearer. We protected the town for generations, but the chain broke, and it came for them. Tears blurred my vision. Why didn't it take me? A pause. Because you carry the last mark, the last protection. You are the key that keeps it out, and the beacon that draws it in. My heart broke. The creature screamed again. The trees shook. The voice faded. Don't let it touch you. Then the humming stopped. The air stilled, and the well went silent. Morning finally came. Weak sunlight filtered through the trees, painting long shadows across the clearing. The creature was gone, vanished with the rising sun, but the well felt different, empty, like whatever voice spoke to me wasn't coming back. I walked home slowly, half expecting the creature to leap from the bushes, but nothing happened. Not a whisper, not a rustle. Maple Hollow stood exactly as I left it. Doors open, plates on tables, clocks frozen, everyone gone. I wandered through every house until my legs gave out. I cried until my voice disappeared. I held my mother's shawl. I sat in my father's chair. No one returned. And so I lived. Years passed, then decades. People from nearby towns eventually came, calling Maple Hollow a ghost town, shaking their heads at the mystery. They never knew what happened. They never will. But I do. And now, so do you. I wasn't spared because I was lucky. I wasn't spared because I was forgotten. I was spared because something ancient protected me, and something ancient wanted me. And every night, when the wind grows cold and the shadows stretch a little too far across my porch, I feel it, still out there, still searching, still waiting for the moment the protection breaks. Child, if one day I go missing, don't look for me, because if you find the place where it took me, it may find you too. And that, dear viewers, is the truth I've carried alone for all these years. People may call Maple Hollow a forgotten ghost town, but I remember every face, every voice, every soul that vanished in a single breath. Some nights, when the wind presses against my windows, I feel that presence again, the same one that walked through our street searching for me, the same one that might still be searching. So, before you go, like this video, subscribe to Grandma Stories Studio, share it with your family, and please tell me what you felt in the comments below. Your feedback means more to me than you know. Until our next story, stay close to the light, and if you ever hear silence where there shouldn't be any, run.